The news keeps coming fast and furious, friends. Much of it is good news, but a lot of it is exposing stuff that's been happening all along that we were not aware of. Trump acts as an entire agency. We need to talk about that. A whole agency just gone. And Doge went after Social Security. And what did they find? Well, they found $100 billion every year in fraud, guaranteed fraud. How do we know it's fraud? Out of $1.5 trillion, 100 billion of it, or 1/15, or just under 7% of payments are going to people without a Social Security number. Now, if you say, well, how can someone not have a Social Security number? Exactly. No one can legally receive Social Security payments without a Social Security number, and yet $100 billion goes out every year to people without one. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about 2.3 million more egg layers so far this first week of February have been culled. U.S. government has opened the United States to a different kind of people for asylum, white people, and we're going to talk about why. And one of our listeners, and listen to one of our viewers, who took actions on the warnings of this channel and freeze-dried a year's worth of eggs well before this crisis. Who's laughing now, normies? Yeah, us crazy people, right? Let's jump into it. We got a lot more reports from the Watchmen. And welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and these are your updates that you guys are sending in from all over. I appreciate all the Watchmen who are sending in reports of things that they're seeing, things that they're hearing at their workplaces, people that they talk to, like managers at stores, to find out what's going on, and those of you passing on breaking news items or obscure news items that are highly relevant to our audience. Appreciate you all, but before we go any further, got to thank our sponsor, Genesis Gold Group. They help people who have retirement accounts. If you're in stocks and bonds, that could be cool, but might not be. And if you're not quite as gung-ho about the future, you might want to make sure that your investments and retirements aren't all gung-ho in the future. If you want to find out more about what you can do with gold, silver, and platinum, there'll be a link at the end of the video. All right, the U.S. State Department has now offered asylum to white South Africans. Why? This is what the State Department spokesman Tammy Bruce said. Persecuted South African farmers and other innocent victims being targeted solely based on their race who choose to resettle in America will be welcome. That is the State Department advising that white South Africans who apply for asylum in the United States will be granted, barring any other unusual reasons to preclude them, like criminal histories or something like that. But because what's happening in South Africa, if you've seen any of the documentaries about the farming murders out there, if you now see what's happening with the government legalizing the government seizure of people that they deem to be unworthy of their goods, their farms, their homes, their businesses can be appropriated by the government to be redistributed. And it's being done on racial lines. All right, moving on. This is an important one here. PlayStation gaming servers went down for about 24 hours this weekend. So some of you may have known that, but I think most of us didn't know that until we read that in the news. But the servers do appear to be back up, but it's hard to explain how many systems and how many people were affected by this. No word on why their network went down, but it is a massive network that hosts all the games on PlayStations out there. And no word on why it took so long to restore. Speculation, my speculation, could be a cyber hack. It could be a cyber hack, but if it's an update or something like that, or a real big problem, that should have been dealt with very quickly, unless it was a major hardware issue, like a server farm went down or something like that. But anyway, Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran shut down any discussion of Iran-U.S. negotiations or peace talks, as Israel has just said that Iranian nukes would be a threat to the world. And Iran has stated last week that any attack on its nuclear facilities would result in, quote, all-out war. So let's just say things are escalating over there. And Trump has slapped punitive tariffs on Iran and anyone who does business with Iran. These are what he put on them his first term as a full court press, basically. Major punitive sanctions. It's rough. It's going to really hit their economy hard. Another U.S. Air Force Rivet joint surveillance flight targeting cartel-controlled areas of northern Mexico took flight. And we're seeing that these military assets, as well as other military assets, are starting to be used against the cartels. Hard to explain how the Rivet joint surveillance flights are pretty hardcore. The snooping that they can do is usually reserved just for American citizens. I say that in jest, sort of. But they're being used against the cartels now instead of against U.S. citizens. Oh, and another 2 million egg layers have been culled in Pennsylvania. Now, that was just on the 4th of February. We had another 350,000 the next day. But these are just egg layers. There were other kinds of birds, meat birds, turkeys, and stuff like that culled. But we're just talking about egg layers. 2.35 million egg layers in 2 days. On the 4th of February, cullings happened in Kansas, Maryland, Michigan, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. And the next day, Arizona, California, Colorado, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. I just want to ask this question before we move on. Does that sound remotely controlled or contained to you? Now, this is either a real thing or it's a fabricated thing, but either way, this is out of control. Absolutely out of control. What's impacting you on the store shelves is definitely a problem. Okay, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. Not with these numbers. You can't have 2.35 million egg layers put down in the first week of February, with over 10 million put down in January. We're seeing some serious problems here. Blue Ridge, Virginia says Musk has posted notice of the end of the CFPB, which is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Gone. They're like, this isn't useful, this isn't helping us, it's just wasting money, taxpayer money. Trump has given a statement that others, or people not here documented, will no longer receive any Social Security benefits. As they put here, how do they ever get Social Security benefits? And the answer that I would like to posit is fraud. That's why, fraud. Now, we have reports also being brought that federal workers are being brought before 20-some-year-old DOJ employees and being given 15 minutes to defend their position in the agency or department where they are. Like, why do you have a job? Defend it. You have 15 minutes. If you can't, your position is going to be eliminated. But like I said with the Social Security, $100 billion of fraud. Actually, I think I have that down here later. $100 billion of fraud out of $1.5 trillion going out each year. So that's about just under 7% of Social Security payments going out of the federal government are absolutely fraud. Now, of the other 93%, how much of that is fraud? Well, that's a whole nother conversation. But these are going out to people without Social Security numbers. There's a whole bunch going out to people with temporary Social Security numbers, which could be fraud, It's more subjected to fraud. And I think one of the other things that they really should be looking at soon is how many of these Social Security numbers are being used twice. That's a big one, friends. I imagine they'll be jumping all over that shortly because a lot of times people from other places that can't get a Social Security number legally, they use a Social Security number that's already in use. That's why whenever you give your Social Security number, they always like, what's your name? And you're like, I just gave you my Social Security number. Why would I have to give you my name? Well, you have to give them your name and you have to give them your address. How many people are using my Social Security number that my name isn't enough to clarify which one of the people using my Social Security number is me? Food for thought. Yeah. We got a lot of watchmen out there reporting how they either never get sick or haven't been sick since the cough, and they're getting very sick from these 4 flu variants that are spreading across the United States. This is from Melody. Mid-Michigan area. Our hospitals keep going on ambulance diversion and not accepting patients. Normally it is 2 out of the 3 hospitals in the local 3-city area. I don't know about the beds in the wards, but I do know that they keep doing this and it's on a daily basis for those emergency rooms. Again, that's Mid-Michigan. RC says, a week ago I saw a doctor for flu-like symptoms. I had the flu shot 2 months ago, but the doc said that they guessed wrong on this year's version of the flu shot, so it doesn't actually cover you against what flu is actually going around. Any of the 4, apparently. My test confirmed that it was actually the cough, not the flu. And the doc said that that's actually the less miserable of the 2. I'm in Central Virginia. Jeff says, Utah. At my local Walmart, I noticed a lot of old and some very old white people being hired. Why were these people not hired before? I was the victim of this discrimination 3 years ago. The number of non-English speaking conversations and others dragging 2 to 3 children around have disappeared almost entirely. Things are changing, aren't they? Already. Stevie says, I live in southern tier of New York State. My sister just received an email from the local school district notifying parents that all students will be sent home with a packet that contains everything the kids will need to go to full virtual learning again. They're preparing to lock down again, friends. Nothing specific about utilizing it at this time, but they are preparing. Also, our eggs have been around $4.79 a dozen at Walmart over the last month or so, which is the cheapest place around here. I put in my order last night for delivery, and a dozen eggs are now $5.79, a whole $1 more. Biggest hike we've had in 1 week so far. Also, my husband has recently had his hours cut at work pretty significantly. He's always worked 6 days to get full-time hours, but lost nearly a third of them due to cutbacks and slow business. Regretta says, I had multiple strokes. I have to wait until September to see a neurologist who specializes in strokes. Meanwhile, I am at risk for more strokes. All I can do is pray and wait. The medical system is playing with my life and ability to live a normal life. That's in the U.S. Dustin says, eggs in Bardstown, Kentucky, $7.45 a dozen. Schools across the state are closed due to the flu. Once again, that's Kentucky. Joyfully Orange says your recommendation about debit cards. We talked about debit cards. Swiping them is dangerous. If your credit card gets stolen, they have access to your full bank account and they can drain it, and you're obligated. That's your problem. If you use a credit card and they fraudulently use it, it's on the credit card. You don't have to pay it because it's fraudulent. They stole from the credit card, not you. So this person says, if you are going to use debit cards, I have a PayPal account with a PayPal card. My debit card is linked to the PayPal, but isn't accessed when I swipe the PayPal card. I also have a prepaid card that can have money put on it so it can be used, but it won't work at the gas pump like a debit card. Also, the Dollar Tree by the food pantry I volunteer at has cut employees down to 17.5 hours per week because they say they aren't making money. The lady who visits our pantry told me she already had to get a second job. Thanks, Steve and the Watchman community. Keep on prepping. And this is from Samson. Update Bart in Northeast Ohio. Eggland eggs hit $5.29 yesterday at Giant Eagle, up from $4.99 previously. They are always in stock, but thanks for covering this. I was able to set aside at least a year's worth of freeze-dried eggs at a much cheaper price, among other supplies, because of you. That's right. This Watchman community has been ahead of the curve and getting people ahead of the curve, keeping people ahead of the curve, ahead of the shortages, so that people are prepared. I can't go a day by without getting 2, 3, 4, 5 messages from folks out in this viewing audience who listened and got stocked up. Not necessarily just from this channel. I know a lot of you guys watch a number of other channels too, but getting stocked up has made a tremendous difference in a lot of people's lives. I could probably go back and pick out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, maybe up to 1,000 by now, of people's whose lives have been significantly impacted for the better because they chose to stock up. It's on you, friends. You might want to get ahead of this beef shortage. It's about to get real. Word on the street is that at the meat packing plants, their stockyards, the cattle that are being fattened up to be slaughtered are down by millions. I forget the exact number. I had it the other day. But the cattle in the feedlots at the slaughter yards are down dramatically. This is going to start impacting your store shelves and the prices of beef very, very soon. All right, friends, hopefully you're getting stocked up for that one. Egg prices are probably going to continue to rise, so best to keep stocking up. This is going to take about 4 to 5 months at least to burn out of the system before we really see significant relief at the egg shelves. All right, friends, do your best out there. Thanks so much for contributing to the Watchman community. If you have an update, make sure you use the word update. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up there. And if you want to get some more information from Genesis Gold, there's a link right there on the screen. Just tap it, fill out your information, and they'll get in contact with you, answer any questions you have, send you information if you'd like it, and just walk you through it. No obligation to go forward with your retirement account. They also do sell gold products and silver products. They have those awesome prepper bars. Ask them about that. If you reach out to them, make sure you do mention this channel because they do waive your setup fee. All right, friends, thanks so much for watching. Steve Poplar of The Poplar Report, out.